Duelists, it is I, Hellgear, and it's budget cyber style deck profile time for you guys. You're a new duelist getting into the game, and you don't have the money to get all the best cards. But with the money you have, you get 3 copies of the Cyber Strike Structure deck. And using only the cards in these 3 boxes, you build a main and extra deck that you can take to locals to build up some card cred. And, even at budget level, this deck is dummy powerful. And with the build that I have for you today, I've summoned the boss monster on the first turn. And I'm very happy with the results that I've done with this. So, like, sub, and bell, and leave your thoughts of my version of the budget cyber style build in the comment section below. That being said, let's count the cards. We're going to do this deck format a little differently than normal. So, we have 3 copies of Cyber Dark Cannon, and then we have 3 copies of Cyber Dark Claw. These are our main level 3 dragon monsters that our level 4 machine Cyber Darks will attach to. Both of them have 2 effects. They have a discard effect and an equip effect. Cannon's discard effect allows you to rota a Cyber Dragon machine monster to your hand, while Claw's discard effect rotas a Cyber Dark spell or trap to your hand. Originally we only had Inferno and Impact, but thanks to the structure deck, playing Claw at 3 is viable again. Also, when Cannon is equipped to a monster and that monster battles, you Foolish Burial a monster to your graveyard. And in Claw's case, when its equipped monster battles, you Foolish Burial a monster from your extra deck to the graveyard. And Claw's equipped battle effect becomes more relevant when you get to the non-budget version of this deck. We have 1 Cyber Dark Horn, 1 Edge, and 1 Keel. All 3 of these level 4 dark machines share the same ability. On normal summon, they can attach themselves to a level 3 dragon monster or lower dragon monster. When they attach to a dragon monster by this effect, if they should die in battle, you can pitch the equipped dragon so they stay around, as well as the equipped dragon, giving them the extra attack point boost equal to their attack. So essentially, Cannon and Claw turn these Cyber Dark machines into 2400 bodies. In addition to that, they all have their unique effects. Horn deals piercing damage. Edge can bypass monsters and attack directly, but the damage he deals is half. And Keel, when destroying a monster, will do slight burn damage. I play 2 Cyber Dark Chimeras. This is the new machine monster here. And our search for Power Bond by discarding a spell or trap from your hand. The rota of Power Bond is a big piece in this deck. In addition to that, when you fusion summon this turn, especially if you use that aforementioned Power Bond, you can banish monsters from your graveyard as fusion material. And that's really nasty stuff. 1 attachment Cyburn for this deck. We don't play too many of this. It's not that important. On summon, it can attach to a monster and give it 600 attack. And if it's sent to the graveyard while equipped to a monster, it can essentially revive a Cyber Dark Dragon, or not just a Cyber Dark, but a Cyber Dragon or machine monster from your graveyard once per turn. It is a light attribute monster, and monster attributes play a big part in this deck. That's it for the Cyber Dark portion of our deck. Now, for the Cyber Dragon portions, I'm running 2 Cyber Dragons, the original, and 1 Naxter. You shouldn't run any more than 2 copies of the original Cyber Dragon. We all know how he works. Naxter can extend itself by discarding a monster to special summon. And when it is summoned, you can revive one of these guys from your graveyard once per turn. I play 2 copies of Hertz and then 1 Cyber Dragon Fear. Hertz is really good support. The main reason I do this, not because of the effect that you can choose 1 of each turn, where it makes all your monsters level 5, that doesn't matter. You don't have Xyz plays to go into. You're mainly doing it so you can pitch it to the graveyard to rota a Cyber Dragon to your hand. And Fear is a natural extender. Once you have any Cyber Dragon, which all of these monsters, Naxter included, are treated as Cyber Dragon on the field and in the graveyard. And when you have a Cyber Dragon on your board, you can special summon Fear to your field and defense position from your hand. And it gives all of your machine monsters an extra 500 points of stats. Being locked into machines is no big deal. I run 2 core in this deck as well. This is another one of our Cyber Spell and Trap card, Rotas. Rotas, it's another light monster, and because of the numbers game for our Cyber Dragon monsters, it'll work with one of our traps. And lastly, a Ling Ling to wrap up our monsters. Ling Ling is the last of our level 3 dragons that your Horn, Edge, and Keel can attach to, making their original attack 1,000. So instead of 2,400 where Cannon and Claw will boost it, this makes them 2,500, allows them to attack twice, and seeing as it's a union monster, it can unequip itself from Cyberdark, Horn, Edge, and Keel, or whatever monster it's attached to. But while it's equipped, it can pitch itself if the equipped monster would be destroyed by battle or card effect. Going into the spells, we have 2 copies of the new Cyberdark Realm. This card acts as a natural Rota and Extender. It adds a Cyberdark monster to your hand, different from the ones in your graveyard, and immediately after that effect resolves, once per turn, normal summon a Cyberdark monster. I only run 2 of this because I feel 3 is clutter, and you don't want to really fill up your back row with all of the continuous cards that you have. 1 Cyberdark Inferno. This essentially is all you need. It's protection for any of your Cyberdark monsters that are equipped with effect monsters. And if it would be destroyed by battle, or not battle, but card effect, you can add one of your many fusion spells to your hand. And we'll talk about the fusion engine in a bit. Cybernetic Horizon, which is also treated as a Cyberdark card, is our next piece of work right here. I do like this because it lets you take 2 cyber monsters of different attributes, pitching them to the graveyard. One from your hand and one from your deck. They must be different attribute, and this is one of the reasons why the attributes come into play. You can pitch one of your Cyberdarks, which are dark attribute in nature, and then something like Attachment Cyber, which is light, or one of your Cyberdark monsters. Or not Cyberdark, Cyber Dragon monsters. I personally like to pitch Hertz with this when I can. Because after you've pitched your light and darks, you'll rota a Cyberdark monster to your hand, different from what's in your graveyard. Then you'll Foolish Burial a monster from your extra deck to the graveyard. This is an oath, so you can only activate 1 per turn. Now, with Hertz sent to the graveyard by this effect, you'll go through Cybernetic Horizon, and then you will say, upon resolution, that's when Hertz's effect kicks in, and you add a Cyberdark, and you add the Cyber Dragon to your hand. 1 Cyberdark Impact. This is the beginning of the fusion engine for the deck. It essentially returns Horn, Edge, and Keel from your field or graveyard to your deck, and fusion summoning them into Cyberdark Dragon. Next up, 2 copies of Overload Fusion. That's really all you need. There are a couple of Overload Fusion targets in this deck that you're going to play with this spell. We run 2 Power Bond. The reason why you play 2 Power Bond is there will come that time, and this has happened a lot to other cyber style friends of mine during testing. They will play 1 Power Bond, but they would hard draw into it. And if you hard draw into your Power Bond, Chimera cannot search it. So that's the reason why you play 2. I roll 1 Fusion Deployment. And there's a reason for this card, especially when it comes to the next spell, and that is Cyber Emergency. With Fusion Deployment, you can reveal a fusion monster in your extra deck, and you special summon from your deck one of the materials specifically listed on that card. This is one of the ways why you can get Cyber Dragon Stratos from your deck, and it's also the main reason why I run only 1 Cyber Emergency. Sure, you can add the other Cyber Dragon monsters from your deck to your hand, but primarily you want to add a Cyber Dragon, the original one. And that wraps up our spells. Trap game, you guys. Any duelist who is running a budget build and is not playing all 3 impermanents, tell me in the comment section below what 3 cards you used in place of this for putting into your side deck. It is your main form of negation in the main deck. 2 copies of Cyberdark Invasion. This is your main form of interruption for your budget Cyberdark deck. Heck, it has 2 effects that you can use one of once per turn. You can either equip a monster to eat from either graveyard to one of your Cyberdarks that you control, giving it 1,000 attack. Preferably one of your Cyberdark effect monsters. Or you can send an equipped card controlled by one of your opponents to the graveyard and blast the card your opponent controls. Cyberdark dragons don't help you out with Cybernetic Overflow. And yes, the Lightning Storm replacement at 2 copies works very well. If you've noticed, all the Cyber Dragons have varying levels. You know, Hertz and Naxter are 1, Core is 2, the original Cyber Dragon is 5, and Fear is 4. So with one of these blasts, by banishing, you can banish 3 and blast 3 cards with 1, or up to 3 cards with 1, and then up to 4 cards with the second. That's going to wrap up our main deck. Now we can get into the extra deck. So, 2 copies of Cyber Dark Dragon and 1 Cyber Darkness Dragon. Here's the deal. The reason why you play 2 Cyber Darks is because you're going to discard one of them to the graveyard off of Cybernetic Horizon. Cyber Dark Dragon, again, you can fuse this with your Cyber Dark Impact. Allows you to take any dragon monster in your graveyard and equip it to this card. You gain the attack of the dragon equipped by this effect, and an extra 100 attack points for every monster in your graveyard. And just like Horn Edge and Keel, its fusion components, you can pitch the dragon equipped to it by this effect if it would die in battle. Darkness Dragon is a little different. It doesn't get the extra 100 attack point boost. And it is limited not to dragons, but it can also equip to your machine monsters. This is a beautiful point because unlike these guys, you can take one of your machine monsters that are in the extra deck, which are coming up, add it to it. It also has a quick effect where it can pitch an equipped card to negate a card. I play 2 Chimera Tech Overdragon in this deck. When I did the analysis of Cyberstrike, I didn't quite understand why this was included into the main deck, but I get it now. Because Cyber Dark's confused with a Cyber Dragon and Clean House. For every fusion material this card gets, it not only gets 800 attack points, but it gets the same number of attacks on your opponent's monsters. 2 copies of Cyber End Dragon, which can be equipped to Cyber Darkness Dragon. It deals piercing, and just like Cyber End, you can pitch one off of Horizon. And the last extra deck monsters is the big boss itself, Cyber Dark End Dragon, which takes these 2 guys, Cyber Dark and Cyber End, or a monster on your field equipped with Cyber End Dragon. It's unaffected by activated effects. It's a 5,000 body. And for every equipped card it has, it can gain attacks for during your battle phase. If there are 2 cards that I wanted to just talk about for budget duelists that when you get the chance to add to your deck, it is these 2. First and foremost is Cyber Twin Dragon. It's too bad this wasn't added to the deck, because if this was added in Cyber Strike, this would have been a lot easier to manage OTKs. Getting 2 Cyber Dragons on your board is an easy task. And if you manage to have Chimera and you Power Bond, this is a 5,600 attack point monster that can swing twice at your opponent. This was reprinted in Legendary Duelist Season 2 for $1, so it's an easy budget addition. And lastly is Cyber Dragon Seeker. This came as a common in Legendary Duelist Season 2 for $1, but this version is like $2–3 max. And it would be a really fun link option and a nice Cyber Dragon disruption for your opponent when they attack you. So that's all for budget cyber style. Give this a try. If you do, it is one of the better budget deck challenges. And stay tuned later on for the non-budget version of this deck. But for now, I take my cards to the box because I'm done. Bye-bye, everybody.